the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes, getting it done any means, get rid of these snakes. Thumb over my stakes, going all in like stuff, get rid of these breaks. Now I ain't never gonna break, double my pace till I go down one of the greats. One of the greats, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Having fun, so that's all.
We like the life. And we're back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. This is episode 187. I am Christian Brindle. I'm joined with my co-host, as always, Glenn Shelton, who is ducked out this morning. Good morning, sir.
I am. Go Ducks. It is the semifinals this afternoon for the old college pigskin football. That's that game, Christian, they play on the really big field, and there's those big yellow field goal posts. I only made it to one Ducks game this year, and I went down, I took my son, and it was when they played Indiana here in Oregon, and it was close, but we lost, and it's the only game they've lost, and now we have revenge on the table today in the semifinals. So I had to wear my Ducks gear today, try to rally the Duck spirits.
If you had not worn your Ducks gear, I would have had no idea that this was happening.
This is an educational podcast. It's an educational podcast.
I doubt follow college football.
It's the best.
Speaking of sports, we have a contest of sorts, and I thought it would be irresponsible to not, kind of cue the audience in on what this contest is between the two of us. If I may, I'll set the stage a little bit.
Please.
So, we have a room block for the summit coming up. We have not released it to the public.
Sound so absurd. Oh,
we have not released the room block yet to the public or the ticket holders as of yet. We will be doing so over the next week is kind of the plan. But on our room block, there is like one, I guess it's like a presidential suite. Does that sound right?
The Waldorf suite.
That's it.
Yeah,
yes, the Waldorf suite.
I don't know I don't even know what that entails. I don't know what that even entails, to be honest. But there's only one. That's what we do know.
You know that, yeah. And apparently there's other suites in the room block and things like that. So, whoever loses can get one of the other suites. But since there's only one of these suites, it's like, big and fancy. And the question came down in a staff meeting we had this week. Which one of us, as CEOs of the business, as the two leaders of the company, deserve said Waldorf suite? Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Correct. You're doing great. You're doing great so far. Keep setting the table.
I'm putting the knife on one side, the little fork on the other, the left side.
Little fork. Salad fork on the right, little fork on the left.
And so we decided to make it a competition to determine who was worthy of the said Waldorf suite. And so we decided to pick 3 NBA games this week, and we each would pick a winner. It had to be one that we disagreed on. We couldn't pick one where we both thought the same team would win.
Yes.
And whoever picked the most winners will win the suite. So the first game happened last night. It was Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. I didn't feel great about my first pick, but I picked the Cavaliers for the upset. The only person they upset was me because they lost. Today, there is the remaining 2 games. There is the Pelicans versus the Wizards, which I picked the Pelicans.
Which I can almost guarantee, based on what I've read, it sounds like they traded away their superstars for Young, and Young's not playing is basically what I'm. So I don't know. I could probably go suit up for the Wizzies and give them a chance today. Like, I don't know who's going to be on the court for the Wizards. Like, what?
I feel great about that. When I heard about it, I'm like, there's no way he's going to play by Friday. Yeah. It's like impossible. Then the second game is the New York Knicks versus the Phoenix Suns. I picked the New York Knickerbockers to come out on top on that game. I'm down.
It should come down to that game.
It should. I mean, now
it's a 1 point spread. It's a 1 point spread for the Knicks game. So they're Vegas is basically saying it's a coin flip. So that should be a really good game.
We'll see what happens. We'll report back on Monday's show what the results were. Although we do have a guest on Monday's show. Shout out to Mr. Andrew Sachs, a friend of the show, friend of the company. Will be on Monday. So, if you are able to watch a Monday show, you want to tune in for that. All right, Mr. Glenn, where do we start with today's episode 187? We started talking a little bit about.
I had a little business I wanted to take care of while we were here live really fast, you guys. So Christian's already taken a little bit of the thunder from me, as he loves to do. You may have seen an announcement from him earlier this week. So something that's changing at Lead Heroes. There's a few other Lead Heroes changes I just wanted to cover really fast, because I've seen some emails come in already this week. I saw this morning, I was at the gym checking email. I saw another one come in. So just wanted to address this really quickly. A few different changes. One is we are increasing the minimum in order to purchase leads or preset appointments. It used to be 10. We have increased that to 20. So that is one change this year to keep an eye on. If you're new to Lead Heroes, or if you were buying from us last year and you're wondering what's going on with this, we have a very slight price increase kind of across the board. The cost to generate an exclusive high quality lead for you guys, it is going up all the time. And what I can tell you from doing this for over a decade now, we used to be able to generate a high quality exclusive lead and still be profitable internally for 15 to 20 bucks. And I wish I could roll back, Father Time, and we could go back to those days, because it would be great for all of us. But the reality is, just like you've seen with the costs of all things, prices have increased. So that has also happened with lead generation, including Lead Heroes. So there has been a slight price increase across the board in order to continue to provide high quality, exclusive, call verified leads for you guys. And then there's a couple changes in how we're doing our discounting this year. So you will still get that volume discount that a lot of you are used to. It's when you order 100 or more leads or 100 or more preset appointments, you'll see that discount come off. We are also offering a subscription model. You'll see that go live here in the next 24 hours, where if you sign up for a quarterly subscription, you'll get 30% off the retail pricing. So that means you're getting 20 leads every single week. I am super excited about this. You guys have been asking for this for years. And this is something that I think is going to make it more affordable for the average agent to come in, get a higher quality and higher quantity of leads over time, and ultimately should lead to more success. And then finally, what Christian had announced already this week, our ESI Premier Agent Partners. So if you have the 7 major Medicare contracts with Everything Senior Insurance, you get 50% off all marketing services at Lead Heroes. So last year that was a 25% discount. We are slashing that in half. So 50% off for our Premier Agent Partners. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick announcement, just kind of cover some bases on that.
And thank you for that. If I could add something on the agency side of things, because since we made that announcement on the increase of 25% internal agent discounts to 50%, we've had a ton of agents reach out this week. I also mentioned we were looking for a set amount of agents to bring on board to become Premier Agents with ESI. We've gotten a ton of outreach of people that have reached out and wanting to set up calls, and we've set up calls with a ton of agents. One thing that I have been asked a lot that I think is important to clarify, right? The 7 contracts that it takes to be a premier agent with ESI are 7 right now. Get it? 7 for 7 figure? Oh, that was not.
I lost your audio, sir. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
There we go.
United Healthcare, Aetna Medicare Advantage, Aetna Senior Supplemental, WellCare, Physicians Mutual, Manhattan Life, and Humana. Now, the question we've been getting is Humana's in a contract freeze and a hierarchy change freeze. So does that mean you can't become a premier agent until that lifts? The short answer is no. We will allow you to get the other 6 and put you on a waiting list for Humana, and we'll let you become a premier agent right away with the expectation that you move over to Humana or contract with Humana as soon as you're able to do so. But we won't hold that against you as long as the contract freeze is in place. So anyway, it's super exciting what we're doing, to start off the new year. And I'm really excited about it. If anybody has any questions on any side of it, reach out, let us know.
Love it.
That could probably serve as sponsorship for this episode, no?
I think so. There's a lot of self promotion in there. I think we covered, so that qualifies you guys. We won't force you to sit through anything else.
Yes. Okay, so let's shift gears into the topic of the day. And
more clutch.
How to handle trier.
Sir, your audio hates you today. We lost audio. I think
I should do something without the mic today.
It just sounds so much worse.
I know, it's really bothersome to me. Hopefully if it happens again, we'll do the show without the mic.
All right, fair.
So we have an amazing customer support team. This is where this topic came from, right?
It's on you're on the outside of the mic right now. This is the other microphone.
Ow. Technical difficulties are never ending.
There we go.
Okay, so we have a fantastic customer support team internally at ESI. They handled, providing top-notch service for our clients. And they do an amazing job, right? That 95% or better retention rate doesn't happen by accident, my friends. I say that to say they've been buried this week in client issues, and weird client issues at that, coming into the new year. People starting their plans 1/1. Certain cases where people didn't even change anything during AEP, and there's weird shit going on, right? And this is kind of a thing that does happen typically every year. I do feel like for us, I don't know if everyone in the audience is experiencing something similar. Feels like it's a lot more weird stuff than we normally get. And just kind of situations that I haven't seen before, I haven't seen in a long time. But it's natural and normal that you always get almost like a flood of just service calls come beginning of the year. Thankfully,
Right.
We have great infrastructure. We don't take those. Like Glenn and I are not interrupting our theme park day to take those.
God.
Sorry. Continue. I'm not trying to be a bully on this Friday. Okay,
we're gonna try to make it through.
Don't want to. It's like stepping on baby rabbits. We don't want to do that. So anyway, so I lost my train of thought a little bit. Where we go from here is like, how do you handle these things as an agent?
Yes.
Right. When these influx of calls come in, and it just feels a little overwhelming. And there's some low-hanging fruit things, right? There's some easy things, but they happen a lot in bulk, and it makes it feel like, this is overwhelming. Little things like, I didn't get my ID card, little Billy. Where is my ID card? I went to the pharmacy and they said my Jardiance was $6,000. And I'm like, whoa, Mrs. Jones, Jardiance doesn't even cost $6,000. Well, that's what they said. This new insurance is more than the retail price. It's 10 times the retail price. I'm like, the pharmacist is billing their old insurance, or they didn't give the pharmacy their new ID card, like they switched from carrier A to carrier B. They're still billing carrier A, right? Like, but they happen a lot, and it can be a little debilitating, even if it's an easy fix. And then when you do get the hard situations that come up, it's, it's relatively difficult to handle. So I guess when you hear something like that, right, when you hear these influx of calls coming in and these problems kind of presenting themselves, even for us internally, right? I've had to help kind of coach our service team kind of through how to handle some of these things. We were able to get them handled for clients. But what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear this? Because this is very rarely talked about from the perspective of what to do about it, but it's often complained about by agents.
Absolutely. This is something that gets posted about all the time. And another big problem with this whole situation is some of the carriers are so bogged down with customer service related issues that you're on hold for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours to try to get through to the right person to try to fix an issue. And how often are you seeing those posts come up in the Facebook groups, right? Or just people complaining in general, like, oh, I spent half my day on hold trying to help a client with their policy. This is, I think, one thing is this is kind of like the natural flow of the business, though. Like, you're going to have these ebbs and flows of a lot more customer service versus times when there's less customer service. And like Christian said, this time of year, there is kind of this expectation coming out of AEP, one of the busiest times of the year, there will be a natural influx of customer service related issues. So I think unless this is your very first year in the business, I think you can plan ahead, or at least see a little bit into the future of what to expect that's coming around the corner. So it's brutal though, because I think about if you are an independent agent and you do have a really upset client, like you just said, someone who's having an issue with their prescriptions, right? And then you are stuck on the phone for 3 or 4 hours you're trying to figure out exactly what's going on with the beneficiary. Then you're trying to get the carrier, and then maybe you're going back and forth, the beneficiary and the carrier. It could easily eat up half a day, if not more. And then all of a sudden you have 10 of those in a week that you have to deal with. How are you supposed to get anything done? Right? Like that's the biggest concern to me, is from the value of your time. If you get sucked into these customer service related issues, which are important for retention and to keep your clients happy, like, I'm not saying you ignore it just because your time's more valuable than that. It has to get handled. But at the same time, you're not generating revenue when you're sucked into these issues all day. So I understand the frustration. I totally empathize. And again, as someone who was an independent agent for many years, and I know Christian was solo for many years. So I think we've both been in these situations as independent agents where we were the only ones. We were calling the carriers ourselves. We were spending our valuable time trying to troubleshoot these issues. But I can't even begin to tell you guys the value of having a customer service, even if it's one person, just one customer service admin, or if you have a customer service team like we do. I mean, the value is priceless. I have a feeling Christian would probably share those same beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, I can get on a roller coaster anytime I want.
You were just sitting on that. You were just sitting on that.
Whee! Okay, sorry. Yeah, 100%, right? Like,
yeah.
Just because something needs to get done in your business doesn't mean you need to be the one to do it. there's things that are going to move the needle exponentially more by you doing it, and being able to focus on it and letting someone else do the other things in your business that's taking your time away from that most important activity, right? Um, and so, that's 100% a big game changer in your business. And it does take a lot of agents a lot of time to figure that out. Some never
Yes.
figure it out. Like I feel like it's a once a year. Did you freeze on me? Did I freeze? Who froze?
For a second. We went
Okay.
black screen for a second. We're back.
Okay. I do feel like it's like a once a year thing where like you, my friend, will find yourself in a bit of a debate online with someone about, I hired somebody one time and it didn't work out. And now I'll never hire again. I'll always be alone. Blah, 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 like, and I know that gets under your skin because it's so faulty thinking. It gets under my skin as well.
Oh yeah.
And it's a huge portion of it, right? But before we get too deep into that, like maybe we should talk a little bit about why these additional weird cases might be happening, because I've talked to other agents and I feel like I've heard a pretty good amount of feedback that it does feel different this year. There's a lot of weird things popping up. We had some things, like I mentioned, in our office I don't know if I've ever seen before, or if I have seen them, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I'd love to get into more of the why before we get too far down the road of, how to fix this or how to avoid it, how to solve it without, using your own time. But yeah, what are some of your thoughts around why it's been extra strange so far this year?
I feel like one thing you can kind of point to is there's been a lot of crosswalking of plans. And I do think some of the weird things we've seen come up has related to that. Like we had somebody where there was a very popular plan in a market. It got crosswalked to another plan code for 2026. And one person did not get crosswalked. Somehow they're still on this old plan code that doesn't exist anymore. And everyone's baffled. The carrier's baffled. The carrier's like,
Yeah.
The carrier reps are like, huh? What? Like, no one knows what to do. Super weird situation. So I think that there's a lot more crosswalking going on. You're also seeing a lot of, like with a big carrier, lookalike plans that came out right before AEP, kind of at the last second. And I think that there were some challenges with some of these lookalike plans. And so I think with all of the last second pivoting that went on, the proper infrastructure might have not been placed on the carrier level. And then so come 1/1, it makes it very difficult for everything to run as smoothly as it should when they've had time to kind of prepare some of this stuff a lot more in advance. Like some of these new lookalike plans dropped the last week of September.
Right.
And it's like, the carrier's doing rollouts and everything like that for a month prior to that. And it's like, just kidding. The non-commissionable plans, here is your lookalike plans. We just pulled them out of our ass a little bit. And it's like, so that we've never seen things like that before on a big scale. And so I think that might have something to do with it. So I think understanding why it might be happening is kind of a big part of it in terms of that. I have some thoughts on some ways that people can kind of combat this, right? I don't know if you have any thoughts. I don't want to take all the thunder. So if you have any thoughts you want to jump in with, by all means.
I think there's different, obviously, like the best thing to do is to have an admin. Like that's number one, but I guess part of what we could discuss is like, what do you do if you don't have an admin? What if you're in a position, you did all of AEP by yourself and all of these issues are coming up and you can't get to, everything you're trying to accomplish that day. And maybe we could also take a look at it from that perspective as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's great. So let's say you just came off of your first AEP.
Yeah.
And you had a good AEP. Let's say you wrote 100 apps.
Love it. Thank you.
Probably still not there yet. Probably still not there yet to be able to hire an admin, you know?
Right.
But, you know, you're on the way. You're on the trajectory. And maybe you can't hire a VA either, right? Let's just put that out there. Because like
right on the cusp.
Some people can't hire an admin, but they can hire a VA.
Right.
Right. So like any type of help is going to help exponentially, right? The main thing I think you can do is, if you're dealing with an issue and it's super weird, as maybe some of the ones I've described, one thing that is important to keep in mind is there's a lot of value in making friends with your carrier reps. Because there were a couple of issues this week. There was one this week we couldn't get anywhere with. We had a lady on, this was another weird one. We had a lady on chemo.
This is a great point.
She had her plan just drop. She made no changes in AEP. She's been on the plan for several years. Her plan just disappeared from the portal. Carrier says that she doesn't have coverage, but nobody knows why. She didn't make any changes during AEP. She's been on the same plan for years. It wasn't crosswalked. Nothing like that. The carrier can't explain to us what's going on. They have no idea. Well, we loop in a carrier rep, and the carrier rep is able to help with it. And the feedback we got on what actually the problem was, internal carrier error. They accidentally terminated her for no reason. So they were able to backdate, since it was their fault, they're able to backdate it back to 1/1 for her plan to start back up again. So this whole month, her chemo will be covered, thankfully. Is that anything the client could avoid? No. Is it anything we could avoid? No. Just a random freaking incident, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen plenty of things like that over the years. Do they happen a lot? Probably not. But when you have a lot of clients, they seem to happen all the time, because you have more of everything when you have a lot of clients. And so, you know, the way we fixed that issue was we looped in the carrier rep. So like, you don't probably want to run to your carrier rep for every little thing. They're probably going to be annoyed by that because that's not really their job. But if, let's say you called the carrier a couple times and you're not getting anywhere and you're just talking to goofballs on the phone, you know, they're like, you know, they don't know what they're doing, which is very common with a carrier. Very common. These are low-level customer service people most of the time that work for the carriers. I hate to say it.
These goofballs.
They are goofballs. They are. And it's worse now than ever because a lot of these carriers have hired a lot of temp workers and everything to handle the kind of the influx. They're not trained. They don't know what they're doing. And so, you know, if you feel like you're banging your head up against the wall, you take it to a carrier rep. They have maybe some internal connections or internal ways of kind of handling something that maybe you're not privy to, right? Or you don't have access to, or something like that. So that's the thing you can do as well. We all have carrier reps that we can work with. Are all carrier reps created equal? No.
Right.
But it's, you know, some are great and they really do a good job and they're quick to respond to you. And, you know, the more you focus on building that relationship over the course of the year, the more you can take.
Insurance agents and agency owners at the event, this could not be a better opportunity to spotlight your business. If you're looking for a sponsorship opportunity and where to spend your sponsorship dollars this year, the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Summit is the spot to do it. You can have your own booth. You can network with agents. This is the 4th annual summit, so there's going to be a lot of agents there and a lot of agents who are looking for help from vendors for leads, educational vendors. You could have a software tool. There's so many great vendors that we've had in the past, and we're looking at a lot of great opportunities for businesses to sponsor at the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Summit. So if you are looking for a sponsorship opportunity, make sure to check out 7figuresmedicareagentsummit.com.
Get your tickets today while they're still available and reach out about sponsorship opportunities. We'd love to have you involved with the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Summit in 2025. Now back to the show.
It circles back to, you know, the saying that we've all heard a million times. This is a relationship-driven business, right? So by having a relationship like that where you can lean on, and I think honestly, an FMO, it's also a similar situation, right? You have a really weird situation come up that you're not sure what to do. If there's someone at your FMO that you can contact and reach out to try to get an idea of what to do. Not saying that they're going to handle that situation for you, but they might be able to give you a shortcut that's going to save you 2 hours of your time to solving a problem because they've already seen it before, right? So I think that is a big leg up over just trying to blindly figure out everything yourself, especially if you're a new agent. This is your first post AEP situation, right? And like you said, I think I was going to guess without really having a lot of conversations, probably like you've had, I was going to guess the non-commissionable plans and some of these lookalike plans. That was going to be my guess without really knowing, but it just makes sense, right? When you have all of these different plan codes, someone just doesn't select one I'm picturing someone at the carrier level of like clicking everyone to move over to the new plan, and they just don't click they just don't click the one person, and they get left on a plan that doesn't exist anymore. It's like, what's going on? So yeah, maybe this is extra chaotic because of the environment that we just got out of. But I love the idea that having the right relationship in place with a carrier rep, with your FMO.
Yes.
I think another one that, again, you could lean on, if having a network, right? Maybe there's a group of agents. Shout out to the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group, right? I can't tell you how many times I'll see crazy complex problems get tossed in there, and I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm like, the agent must be making this up because this problem is so insane. And then I see people jump in. Oh, I've seen this before. I know what you should do. Oh, you need to contact this person. So sometimes your network can really save you too.
Can I tell you about the craziest client issue I think I've ever seen?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It didn't happen recently. It was years ago. It might have even been a PG or no, a BG before Glenn.
BG.
BG.
Let's hear it. Have I heard this story?
I don't know. I kind of, it was like a suppressed memory. I haven't thought about it much lately, but now as we're talking about this, I thought about it.
Suppressed memory. Okay, let's hear it.
So we had a client one time. And this client went into Social Security for something. I can't remember why. She might have started drawing or something at that time.
Okay.
But she had been on a Medicare plan for 3 or 4 years. So she was probably I don't know, 68, 69. She'd been on Medicare for a couple of years, started at 65. Well, anyway, the Social Security rep allegedly, because this is what we were told happened by Social Security, hit the wrong button and it disenrolled her Part B and backdated it all the way to 65. So she had years worth of claims. So her plan terminated, but not just terminated. It terminated to a backdate all the way back to where she never had the plan. So she had years worth of claims coming back on her, hospitals from a year ago, hospital stage.
Insane.
They're like, we just got charged back. They're like, we just got charged back on this claim.
You
we
owe
have to pay it all.
Yeah. Oh.
I think it was like 80, 90 grand that she got billed for really quickly.
Oof.
Within 30 days. And then she tries to go in the doctor, you don't have Medicare. She's like, what do you mean I don't have Medicare? My Medicare, it's inactive. Here's my
yeah, I don't think I've heard this story. This is insane.
Here's my carrier card. So we get on the phone and call into Social Security with her, the local office, and multiple calls. It's again another thing. Nobody knows what's going on. They're like, we see it's inactive, and it was never active. Be like, no, it was active. It's like she had a plan for years.
Yeah.
I see it was never active. I see it went active and then it went inactive the same day. I'm like, no. So anyway, finally we get somebody higher up and, in the office, and they're like, we did a bunch of research on this. We went in checked on the whole situation. And we think that when she came in to draw off of her Social Security, somebody selected something on her account that disenrolled her for Medicare and backdated it for years.
That's wild.
And I'm like, well, what do we do about this? Like, so we had to get like a letter from the Social Security office, the local one, that we submitted to the carrier. And then the carrier had to go back and correct all the claims with the provider. It was like a 6-month process.
Wow. Like, that's so catastrophic to the beneficiary that you would think there would be safeguards in place that could prevent one person at a Social Security office from being able to do that, even if it was just a simple accident. That's terrifying. That something like that's even possible.
I had never heard or seen anything like that up until that point, and I haven't heard or seen anything like it since. It's the most bananas thing I've ever seen in this business in terms of something that happened to a client. But like, my point is like weird. This is a moral of that story. You've been in this business long enough, you're going to see weird things that are unexplainable happen to your clients. 9 times out of 10, it's explainable. Like, oh, you're not in your plan anymore. Oh, you signed up with someone else during AEP. I did. Yes, you did, Mrs. Jones. You're 85. Like, that's explainable. But there's things that pop up, even if they're the minority of things, that are not explainable. That cannot be prevented.
The way you talk about this, my brain goes to like Paranormal Activity. You're like, some of these things, it's not explainable with rational logic. It's tough. It's tough too, because there's other agents involved a lot of times with your beneficiaries, right? And that can really start to spin things up, where you're like, well, wait a second, I wrote you a Humana plan. Why are you talking about United Healthcare? And all of a sudden you realize 3 different applications got submitted with one client. The client thinks that the primary application that was supposed to be their coverage is the one that you sent in, but it wasn't even you. And all of a sudden you're down a rabbit hole. You're calling the carrier. They're like, we have no record of this person. And just goes on and on and on and on. But to kind of shift gears, maybe we talk about how someone can build themselves out of this customer service nightmare that some agents are finding themselves in right now. Because again, a lot of this is inevitable. It might be worse now, but it's not like this is going away.
Right.
You could always get calls like this.
To Glenn's point, if you find yourself being buried, it means you're trying to do too much yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, no, I won't say anymore. It's too easy. It's too low hanging fruit. I'm having a hard time not saying it because it's so funny to me. But anyway, if you find yourself being buried in your business, it's probably time to hire somebody. Like, people always ask, and you've gotten this question a million times. I've gotten this question a million times. At what point in your business do you bring on staff? The answer to me is not a client amount or a revenue amount. I think it's as soon as you are getting buried. Like as soon as you feel like you need to, which is subjective, right? I talked to an agent the other day that has 1,000 med sup clients, and they're like, I don't do service work.
Yep.
Like, very rarely do I have a service call. And like, they're in a weird market, like they can get away with that. I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
He's like, I've never done PDPs. I referred the PDP out even when they paid commissions. I'm like, interesting. I'm like, okay. So you have situations like that, but it's going to be a little nuanced for each person. As soon as you feel like you're getting buried, that's probably a telltale sign that it is time to get more help, because every business has 2 different pathways. It's inevitable. There is no exceptions, except for my MedSup friend that I just talked about.
Yep.
But your business can go one of 2 ways. Even for that person, I feel like this is true. This might be a longer pathway, but you have one of two paths. Your business will hit a crossroads. And you can either stop building and just, you're a service work person and you take on the occasional referral. That's what you do all day, 9 to 5. Or you go the other route and it's time to start building infrastructure and bringing on help. And because the business is at a point where in order for it to grow, you have reached your capacity of what you can do on a 24-hour day. It's inevitable. Every business gets there. And it doesn't matter, right? Like, Amazon doesn't have Bezos, like I was watching South Park the other day and, they have a Bezos in it and there's like an empty fulfillment center and someone's calling and he goes up and picks up the phone. He's like, hello, you've reached Amazon. This is Jeff Bezos. Like, that doesn't happen.
Maybe for the first couple of years. Yeah, maybe for the first couple of years he was doing that, but
but people aren't saying Bezos doesn't care about the Amazon customers because he's not picking up the phone. Like, you see how bananas and backwards that is?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's because Bezos has more important things to do for Amazon when he was running Amazon. Yes. So every single business, regardless of industry, has this crossroads and you have a decision to make. Am I going to grow or am I not going to grow? Some of you make the decision, I'm not going to grow. Cool. There's nothing more for you to talk about. Time to stop watching. But if you want to keep growing and you want to take the other pathway, you have to build infrastructure and bring on a team because you are one person. No productivity hack or special scheduling system or time blocking or anything like that will get around this. It might help you get a little bit more done each day. It's important for sure. But you have a finite amount of time that you have every day to spend on things. And that's the truth, right? You're going to hit this, fork in the road and you're going to go one way or you're going to go the other way, but you can't go both.
The frustration I see, and again, I've experienced this myself, and I know Christian's experienced this too, but I think the people who really feel that frustration where they are actively choosing to try to keep growing. So they're taking that path. I want to keep growing my business, but they're also stuck in this hamster wheel of I'm doing everything myself. I'm going to do every customer service call myself. Christian mentioned the one common kind of, common objection, the common thought that I'll see shared with agents where they had one failed experience bringing in a customer service rep. So they translate that to it will never work, which is just a complete logical fallacy. There are so many examples of successful agencies with customer service reps for you to get on a podium and to think that you're sharing some type of proprietary information with the world by telling them, hey, my agency will never use a customer service rep. I am the customer service rep. That's what makes my agency special. That's why my agency grows. It is the complete antithesis of how businesses will actually grow, how your agency will actually grow. So that's one that we see a ton of. The other one is that this is too sacred that I have to do it myself. I can't have Mrs. Jones talk to a virtual assistant. I can't have Mrs. Jones talk to an admin. It has
They'll
to
only
be
deal with me. They'll only deal with me.
They'll only deal with me. And that's another logical fallacy that is super common. Another one, I just want to kind of get some of these out and then we can kind of talk about them. Another one is the cost of a customer service rep. This is one that shout out to our inner circle. We discussed quite a bit. And it can be tough when you're newer. So let's say this is like your second year in the business and you're just at the point where you're starting to get your sea legs and you realize you really want to focus on growth, but you don't want to spend that 15, 20 hours a week on customer service if that's where you're already at. And then you're doing the math on, well, if I bring in an admin and I'm paying them this much per month, that's coming out of my pocket. What am I supposed to do? Well, Christian and I plow profits back into the business left and right. We've been doing that for years. That's how we got to where we are today.
Yeah.
We got to where we are today by spending an incredible amount of money, at times more than either of us wanted to, but we were building out the infrastructure. We were setting ourselves up for success in the future. And that's what a lot of times spending money on staffing is. You might be able to do it all yourself today, but if you want to not do it all yourself in the future, you're going to have to spend that money now. So those are like 3 really common problems or logical fallacies, you could call them, that I see come up. Here we go. You found it?
I don't know if this is it.
Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon? Yeah, we helped him find workers to work during the strike. So he found orders and had them sent to us. Well, can he find my packages too?
No, they said the workers are still on strike. They don't know when our orders.
Alexa, can I have my stuff shipped from a different? No, that is a bad dog, Banjo. Bad dog.
Was that supposed to be Bezos
No.
listening?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. There's a scene.
I know.
where,
I know the scene you're talking about. I've seen it.
He's like all the workers are on strike and there's an empty fulfillment center and he's like walking around like with the mayor. He's like, "This is a problem, mayor." And the phone rings and he goes up to the phone. He's like, "Thank you for calling Amazon." And it's Ben and Kyle on the other end. It's like, "Hey, we have workers for you." They find like mole people in the mall that haven't, they're like wanting to work. He's like, "You have people that are willing to box?"
Yeah, that's a classic. Talk to me about that last point specifically about like the cost, because I think this is really common for a lot of agents, especially newer agents who are struggling with the idea of spending money on staffing. Like what would you say to if someone called you up and they're like, "Christian, I'm drowning. I know I need help, but I just really don't think I have the money to bring in a virtual assistant or to bring in an admin right now"?
Well, the first thing I would probably do is I'd be like, to really address that, I'd probably have to ask them, be like, what kind of revenue are you bringing in? How many clients do you have? What are your personal bills? What do you have left over? And they probably are spending more money on bullshit than they think. Like maybe you reduce your Starbucks bill every month. Maybe you cancel a couple subscription services, but would you rather have a bunch of subscription services that you don't have time to watch or use because you're working 100 hours a week to keep your head above water, because you're doing everything in your business? For me, I was really afraid of it at the beginning before I ever hired anybody. I was really scared because, I'm a bit, at times I'm an overthinker. With some things I don't think at all. I just go. Other things I just think it into the ground, right? I think we're all like that to a degree. This was one thing I really overthought. And, it was probably 7 years ago now when I hired my first person. And right before I did it, I paid for a consulting call with someone in the industry. I'll give him a shout out, actually. Chris Westfall. I was a part of his website.
That's not who I thought you were going to say.
I was a part of his website at the time. He was offering consulting calls to some of his members, and I took him up on it. I was like, this is my problem. I'm drowning. No one knew who I was. Nobody. I was very much a nobody. I was doing well. I was making multiple 6 figures at the time. Had a nice book of business. I was selling a lot, but I was running myself ragged. I was working 100 hours a week. And he gets on with me and he's like, sounds to me like you got to hire somebody. Like just so obvious, like, duh,
Yeah.
And I'm like, think about that, Chris. I'm like, I did the math and it's like almost as much as my mortgage, I'm like taking on a second mortgage. And what he told me is something that I've repeated a lot over the years is I'm really paying homage here.
Yeah.
But what he told me is he said, he's like, you're looking at it as an expense and not an investment. He's like, you're talking as if it won't make you any more money in your business.
Yes. Yeah.
That was words of wisdom that I've lived by ever since then. And shortly thereafter, within a month, I had hired somebody, and the the rest is history. But, so I can sympathize with the cost fear because I was literally that person. I had that fear. And when I hired the person, I still had the fear. And every time I ran payroll, I had the fear, but I went into it with faith of a mustard seed.
Oh man, that's a great story. Some gold and some history also shared right here on the pod. I will say, like, to get this even more actionable, if you really are in a spot and you feel like money's tight, but you also know you're drowning in all the admin related stuff. And I think Christian probably did this, and this is how it was for me. But the first move here, guys, on the chessboard is you take the lowest hanging fruit, the stuff that is really basic, the stuff that's really eating up your time. This could be data entry. This could be ordering replacement insurance cards, the stuff that's just mind-numbing simple, and you hire someone part-time. Was your first admin part-time when you brought them in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're that's helping reduce your cost right away, right? A full-time
25 hours
admin
a week.
Yeah.
25 hours a week.
Full-time admin's going to be almost double, right? So you bring someone in 25 hours a week, you're going to immediately get a lift from that, but you're not paying for that full-time. And obviously a virtual assistant's even more affordable. But either way, a part-time virtual assistant, a part-time admin here in the States, regardless, and then taking the most basic things where hey, even if this person screws it up, we can figure it out. I'll help teach them. And then you move forward. That's really the move, you guys. I think that would change your life. I love that story though, and sometimes you have to hear it from somebody else, you guys. Sometimes you know what they're like. Christian obviously knew he could hire someone, or that he should hire someone. Like, that wasn't nothing he was given, nothing told to him there was new information. But sometimes it's just hearing it from someone else and it just kind of clicks and you're like, shit, you're right. Like, this is a no-brainer.
100%. 100%. It was something I had been thinking about doing for probably a year before that. And I just never pulled the trigger. And it was like, and the thing is, right, like at that point in time, and a lot of you are at this point as well, I was making multiple six figures at the time. I could have afforded it. It wasn't that big of a stretch for me, but I talked myself into, oh, that's so much money. That's so much money. That's so much money. And it again, it's an investment into your business. And, my career kind of went like this. As a salesperson, I, sold a lot, top producer, dipped down for a few years to kind of, average production because I was way too, bogged down.
Super common.
And then I bring in staff, and as a producer, I go right back up, if not even higher than I was before. Produce, top producer. And that's no accident. It's because I got my time back to focus on what I needed to be spending my time on the most, and that was selling.
Yes. Someone said, Daniel says that Chris Westfall interviewed me. I don't believe that's true, but I love the story there.
I love the tape of that. I didn't know that. I'd love to see that.
Tapes, the secret tapes. There's the
secret tapes.
Secret tapes of the Westfall Shelton interview, guys. Maybe that'll get leaked one day. We'll see. We're coming up on top of the hour, top of time, as we like to say here on the show. This has been, I think, a marvelous episode. I think it's very timely too, because I know, again, a lot of you, I know it's not just us here at ESI that are dealing with crazy customer service issues or an influx in customer service issues. I know I'm hearing it from agents all over. So I think this was very timely, and I think there's a lot of great actionable advice given. Why don't you jump into final thoughts? Another thing I was going to ask you too, while we're live here on the stream, Freebie Friday is today, everybody. That's right. The free of the freebies of the Fridays. We've made it. Our first ever Freebie Friday of 2026. I mentioned this on Monday's stream. We gave away over $100,000 worth of goods and services and leads right here in the 7-Figure Medicare Agent Facebook group. And all you had to do to win was comment on the live streams like we're doing right now. Mr. Brindle, what should we give away today? What are you thinking? What sounds delicious?
Maybe we start with some T65 leads. How you feel about that?
Holy moly! He's feeling generous. Turning 65 leads.
Was that Lil Jon song? He's like, 369 T65. We need our own version of that.
Mrs. Jones is T65. Gonna hit you with that true up one more time.
To the window, to the wall.
I'm gonna AI remake that.
Till the E app comes back in my inbox. There's got to be a better way to say that.
Till the true up
hits. Till the true up hits. Wait, what rhymes?
Till the true up commission deposits to the window.
Randy, or if you're watching, can I get an AI image of me or Glenn as Lil Jon?
Oh no!
With the wig and it, with the hair and everything, the glasses and the grill. Please, I need that to finish my week. That would be amazing.
All right, guys. Well, Christian has given the definitive answer here. Turning 65 leads from Lead Heroes. We'll give away a bunch of them. I don't know exactly how many yet, but more than one winner. We always try to do more than one winner. So all you have to do is comment. Comment on today's stream or comment on Monday's stream. That gives you 2 chances to win. By the end of business today, usually it's about mid to late Friday afternoon, we load up everybody who commented, and then we put you into the name wheel and we spin it so we get some winners. So you'll see that announced. So stay tuned. Sounds like y'all have been drinking. I wish. No, this is just. We've been drinking the fire hose of insurance.
I haven't had a drop of alcohol since before my son was born.
Look at you.
It's not my choice. I would love to change that, but I don't know. I don't know if it's in the cards.
Don't you feel good though? Don't you feel you get to wake up? Sleep's probably been a little elusive for you, but all right. Final thoughts on today's episode, Mr. Brindle. Jump into it.
Guys, final thoughts is, whatever it is you're going through in your business, understand that somebody has been through it first and they came out the other side. So there's things you can do to and maybe it's not something you can change today or change overnight, but you can be taking steps towards getting through a certain phase in your business if you're feeling overwhelmed. But at the same time, I think you have to have the belief that those things are going to work. You have to have the faith of the mustard seed, as I say. It doesn't take a lot.
Like that's your friend. Like that's your friend.
As I like to say. As a great man once said to me, faith of a mustard seed.
Get me out of here.
That's my final thoughts, guys. I'm done. That's my final thoughts.
My final thoughts, you guys. You'll hear this saying, like, this is a relationship business a lot. Like, you'll hear that said so many times about the insurance industry, and to the point where sometimes it almost feels like a deflection, or it just feels like
or a cliche.
Somebody's just, it's a cliche. They're just saying it to say it. Like, I can't tell you, but this was such a great example today of where your relationships can really help you and can pay dividends in saving you time. The carrier reps was the first example. We talked about FMOs, people at your FMO, and then we talked about your network. Shout out to the 7-Figure Facebook group. So I love that. I think this was like actionable relationship advice that it really paints the picture that, this business really is built on relationships. So that's my final thoughts for today's episode.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watched on the live or whether you watch on the replay later on, we certainly appreciate you guys so much. And we'll be back on Monday with another show. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, give a 5-star review, whatever the platform of your choice will allow you to do. And we'll see you on episode 188 on Monday. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend.
Go Ducks. Go Ducks.
Go Knicks. and Pelicans.
Different sport.
And Pelicans.
Different sport.
Thanks, everybody.